If, like me, the idea of planning your travel is as exciting, if not more than the actual experience of the journey, then we're going to have some fun together. And for those staying with me till the end, you can walk away with some time-saving templates for free. We're going to build the ultimate Wanderlust portal in ClickUp. We'll be able to trace our footsteps across journeys, convert your holiday plans into a fun and collaborative exercise. Here's what you can expect. You'll be able to plan your itinerary, have all your documents at your fingertips, create a packing list, and have a digital travelogue to trace your footsteps across journeys. You know, for the nostalgia. We'll do this in a way that would make it a fun exercise, whether you like to plan solo or want to collaborate with your friends, colleagues, family, what have you. But can we make it easy enough for non-geeks to follow along? You be the judge. Hello, and welcome to Work Life Win Repeat, where the geek's path might just be the simplest path. I'm your host Arun, and I'm all about making it snappy and user-friendly. I'll be the first to admit it. I love to travel. Flights, hotels, packing, sightseeing, the food, the walking around, the photography. Did I not mention the people and the shopping? No, I did not. Today's build is all going to be based on fun and function. Part of the fun comes from the collaboration. Friends, family, office trips, you do you. The function comes from organizing the admittedly enjoyable chaos of travel workflow and reining in the paperwork and the activities that go into making it both fun and nerve-wracking. We're also sneakily learning practical workflow design. And the lesson of the day is templates. And the tool of choice, ClickUp. While I predominantly use ClickUp to solve organizational problems in project management scenarios, there's no reason why it cannot be used for other activities, such as travel. So why ClickUp? ClickUp is my tool of choice for everything in my work and life. I use its modular toolkit to make all the projects to suit my requirements specifically. It allows me the flexibility that an app does not give, that a pre-designed system does not give me. It also is not a unitasker. Like a good kitchen tool, it allows me to solve multiple problems using just this one. It also allows me to tie in various parts of my work and life together, like your travel with your budgets, your home obligations with your work ones, and any other projects you've got going on. And I will let you know how you can grab a copy from my affiliate link in the description below. Yet another reason to get ClickUp is to see how well it fits with the MyLifeOS template that I have designed to give you a chance to organize your little universe of your work, your life projects, as well as your digital resources. More on that later. For now, let's get cracking. Workflow design. How do we take this concept, which sounds like it has to do a lot more with work than fun stuff, and apply it to the scenario of designing a Wanderlust portal? A project, like any other, whether it is designed for something fun or whether it is designed for something inside office, which could also be fun, I mean, who am I to judge, is a conscious approach towards breaking down a process, building it back up in a way that it can be understood, followed, and repeated in any given environment, whether it is for our multiple destinations of travel or whether it is for designing an onboarding platform for work. This entire process can be broken up into two parts: brainstorming, building. Brainstorming is where we take a conscious approach to looking at this workflow of travel, breaking it down into its basic elements, and then building it back up in a way which makes it a logical and repeatable system. So let's take this workflow design as a concept and get it into a template mindset, which means that we need to make a process that is standardized, repeatable, and realistic, so that once we get into the next destination and the next destination, we have a singular template that will get us hitting the road running, to coin a metaphor. Start by mapping it quite literally with your brainstorming tool of choice, whether you like to use a notepad and a pencil, whether you are into a flow charting tool, whether you like to use an open whiteboard. Incidentally, ClickUp itself has a whiteboard tool, which allows you to bring in free-form thoughts and connect them together until it makes a sensible workflow. Now, ask yourself the fundamental questions and visualize them as an organic process. How does a travel discussion start? Let me give you my personal example. First, we get a fix on the destination. Then we vote on the travel dates. Then we look into those air tickets and other travel arrangements that need to be done, swap links on the must-dos, must-sees, must-haves, and hunt for the hotels and Airbnbs. Then we make reservations for guided tours, intercity journeys, and experiences that make this whole thing meaningful. Then, of course, we scramble to get the visas, travel insurance, pack everything that we need, forget where to pack some of the essential things, fight over it, pack everything in a suitcase, leave the suitcase behind, reach the airport, and then take a cab back to reach there, scramble back in time. That's just an example, guys. Never happened. Now, the way I see it, this entire process, the deeper we go into it and break it down into its elements, can be grouped into two large containers. One for individual destinations, another for all the journeys that we take together. So the individual destination, I'm going to call as the container as a destination master. A destination master is a shareable platform to collaborate with your fellow travelers. It helps you budget, plan, and organize the journey. It can be archived after the journey, which means you have captured all the essential details, the journey has been executed. But we will pull in the necessary information from that journey and put that into our Travelogue, which is the second container. The Travelogue acts as a repository for all your travel-related memories, the key things that happen inside the travel that you would like to come back and remember. It tracks your footsteps across your journeys, and visually, it can act just as a flex on your friends. Well, who am I to stop you? Now that we have considered the brainstorming part of it, you turn those elements into ClickUp units, such as tasks, fields, containers, and connections between all of them. We dip into the information gathered from our brainstorming session and utilize that to actually build out that template. And in order to do that, we will further group them into contextual fields, such as dates, travel activities, to-dos, places to see, documents. While these are part of the organic thought process of building a Travelogue or an itinerary, inside ClickUp, each of these can be contextual fields that can be mapped to each other or mapped to a central piece of data, which means any given destination can be linked to some of these contextual fields that we just spoke about, which means if I take any location that I plan to go to, that would be linked to the dates where I would be there, the travel activities that I plan to do when I'm there, the to-dos, which are some of the functional activities that have to be done when I'm there. You can also connect it to the necessary documents that would open doors and experiences when I'm in that location. So that is how you connect contextual fields with the activity that you plan to do. Now, we use the toolset provided by ClickUp in order to actually build this one out. Quick tip. When you go into this build, expand your mind. ClickUp was originally designed as a project management tool, and so it is likely that many of the terminologies that ClickUp preserves and uses would be designed in work-related terms. We need to expand the definition of that to suit our requirements, which means due dates aren't due dates anymore. Due dates could be referring to the start date and end date of a particular leg of the journey. Drop-down fields, which ClickUp provides, and relationship fields that ClickUp provides can be used to link our destination to specific activities to be done in that destination or specific days on which that task needs to be done. You can even link activities to the drop-downs, which could be the locations that they need to be performed in. You can also look at connecting one activity in one container with another using relationship fields. Don't worry if you don't understand it at this stage. We will build this out together and we will make it easy for you. We can also look at one of the features of ClickUp called task types. Task types allows us to segregate action items from non-action items, which are part of our Travelogue. For instance, we can use task types to segregate to-dos from events, locations, documents, and people. To proceed with the build, we will use a practical scenario. Let me give you an example of a journey that I took more than 12 years ago. Let's model this template after a trip to Spain. Consider this: 2 adults, 1 child, 7 days, Madrid and Barcelona. Sounds good to me, which is why I actually did that. So let's take today as a date and add 7 days to that and build this template out. Theory over, let's build. So here we are inside my personal ClickUp workspace. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the MyLifeOS space, which is a large container, and use a folder inside that to design our entire destination planner. Let's take it step by step. Start by naming a folder, and let's just say, oh, you know what? Let's just call it by the destination. And that's something that every destination planner is going to be. Every folder of a destination is a location that you want to be. And in this particular case, the example we've taken, Spain 2024. Now, use the same space statuses. That works fine for me. In case these are not the statuses that you are okay with and you have your own language that you're familiar with, switch over to that. But I'm good with to do, in progress, waiting, installed, and complete. Go back and create that particular folder. Now, inside this folder, we're going to be creating a couple of lists, starting with the itinerary planner. Let's add one. Delete this blank ones. Second one is going to be the packing list. We'll build these out separately, but I'm creating all the lists to start with to know what is ahead of us. Document storage. All right. The Travelogue, we will build it separately because the Travelogue is not part of any single destination, but of multiple. Let's start with the itinerary planner. The itinerary planner is composed of two things. One is the places to see, the experiences that we want to have, all part of one set of lists, and the to-do items, which are the necessary activities that go before and after these particular activities, such as, let me give you a few examples. We'll start with that. I'm going to import a few tasks. And here's something interesting that ClickUp does. If you copy paste any number of rows of data, ClickUp allows you to split it into multiple tasks. So I pulled out from my Excel sheet where I maintain basic tasks and put 4 of them here. And ClickUp immediately detects that there are multiple tasks that will be created out of it. And if I say yes, it breaks it apart to 4 different tasks, which is what I did. I pulled 4 tasks from 4 rows in Excel and pasted it here. These are some of the basic to-do items that are part of the travel. Blocking the dates, booking tickets, reserve hotels, apply for visa. We can think of these as tasks that would be assigned to either ourselves, or it could be assigned to any members of the family or people whom we are collaborating with on this journey. As in this given example, this is between me, my wife, and my child. So these are something that we can split the responsibilities on, fix due dates upon, attach priorities to what needs to be done, and proceed with the task. As we move along with the task, we would change the statuses of this to reflect the state at which that task is. There is a second part of all of this, and which is the locations that we want to go to, which is building the actual itinerary part. I'm not going to take us through every single step of the way, but let me show you a couple of quick examples. So here are some of the basic locations that are top of mind for us. I'm gonna restrict myself to, let's say, 3 locations. Now, just for the sake of this build out, I'm going to delete 3 of these tasks and keep 3 of these tasks and show you how I built each one of them. And this is how you can multi-select the tasks and take bulk actions on them rather than having to delete them one at a time. But we need to see something here. The first 4 items are to-do items, but Plaza Mayor, Hostal Barrera, and Retiro Park are not. They are locations. They are places that we would like to be, and they are places we would like to see. How do we get ClickUp to see the difference between those? And that's where task type comes of use. So we choose these task types. We choose these tasks and turn them into task types. ClickUp allows me to customize how these tasks are defined as. I do not have to call them as tasks. I can remap them as milestones, as bugs, epics. I can create entirely new task types where necessary. But as I can see, I have created one called locations. You can find out how to do that separately. So you can create an entirely new task type by clicking on manage, coming into the task types field and defining an entirely new task type. You can just choose the icon which represents that particular task type, whether it is it can be a bug, it can be the case of a task, in which case I would just choose something that looks like it, a map location, a pin, what have you. And then you can give it a name. In this case, it would be called location, and a plural name, locations. And you can give a description of why and where you would use this particular task type. I have already created a location task type, so I'm going to go ahead with that. Back to my workspace, come inside Spain 2024 and go to my itinerary planner. So let's change these into locations. So one way to do that is to go here and choose the task type. Yet another way is to see the bulk action, which is once we have chosen these multiple tasks, we can go into more and choose the task type, which is location. You would have noticed that these do not look like the task radial buttons. These are now location items. Once I have created this, I can separate my tasks from my to-do items using filters. So I come in here and I create one view specifically for my itinerary planner. And just for that, all I do is put a filter saying task type is location. And I make sure that I save this view. This ensures that inside this view, which though is called a list, let's rename it to reflect what it really is. This is the itinerary planner. So we have an itinerary planner where the filter says that only tasks that are locations would be displayed here. What about the tasks? We'll build one for that. And this time we'll apply a different filter where the task type is a task. So this ensures that this list will be a to-do list. And this one would be the itinerary planner. So every task that are added here would automatically be part of the itinerary, and anything that is added here would be part of the to-do list. Let's focus a little bit on the interesting part of it, which is building out the itinerary planner. Now, as we import our intelligence from the brainstorming session, we know what goes into planning an itinerary. So we take some of those elements and turn them into terms or fields that ClickUp understands, such as map location. Now that's something that we can use. So I search for map location as a field. ClickUp has that. I can just call it that. Create this field. And oh yeah, I can make it slightly more interesting by calling it, because I'm calling it a map location. Right. Then we will due dates. Yes, we will retain that. Assignees is irrelevant, so we will hide that. Let's collapse this and make sure there's room for more. Now, we'll create something called a travel date dropdown. This makes it easy for us to map each location to day of travel. So if I have 4 locations that I want to finish on day 1, 3 locations on day 2, day 3, so on and so forth. As we discussed in the example, this is going to be a 7-day travel. So I will need 7 travel days to account for. So this is sort of like a calendar field. So I'm going to plug in a calendar icon just to make it easy to understand. And we're going to design the fields that go into this. So that's going to be day 1, day 2, day 3, so on and so forth. In fact, I'm going to show you how it looks like when it is finally created. Right. So we've created the travel day field. I've gone ahead and created 7 days and just colored them differently to make it visually appealing. The next thing that we want to do is time of day. Time of day is a similar drop-down field that we want to create. So we choose a drop-down field. Time of day allows me to map destinations similarly, not just by the day of travel, but also when, morning, afternoon, evening, and night. I'm just going to maintain these 4 fields simply because I'd like to keep it flexible. My experience tells me that every time I have plugged it in as a very specific hour of the day. Unless there are opening and closing times for that particular experience, I'd like to keep it flexible because I'm traveling with a child, plans go awry, rains come in. Those that have traveled long enough know how this goes about. So we will have time of day as a field. You can choose an icon that suits this occasion, and we will fill in the options such as morning, afternoon. Let me make this easy on and show you the completed product. Here, so we've added the field of time of day, and this is what it looks like: morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Again, color-coded for fun. The other fields that we need to put in here is the city of travel. Yet another drop-down field. Let me show you what that would look like. So suiting this particular example is Madrid, Barcelona. Now, a simple text field, long form text field in fact, to capture my travel notes. Here it is. Travel notes allows me to capture information that would go into a scrapbook, for instance. It's a pretty rich text field. If you just click on the slash button, you can see that you can make the travel fields quite rich with the information. You can add tables, you can add banners, checklists, you can have formatting available. You can even embed details from anything that you might have uploaded. You can even bring in cloud data. You can add links over here, so on and so forth. So this is about going to a particular place. What is it that you would like to keep in mind? That's what the travel notes allows me to do. All right, that's enough for this location. Now, once we have a few locations of this nature and all these fields to fill out, we will take them one at a time. And to add to the visual appeal of it, as well as to make it a ready reckoner, here's something that I recommend that you do. Add a cover. Cover, though might not seem like a practical requirement, can be helpful, especially in the middle of a journey when you want to quickly plan out at the end of the day what your next day looks like and have a visual reference of what is it that you're going to see. Let me show you what that would look like. So you walk into upload here, and in my particular case, I like to keep a folder of some of the photos which I would have taken in from the internet, from my travel research, to have a visual guide of what that place looks like. So I have never been to Spain before, but if I want to go and see what Plaza Mayor looks like and make sure that in my walks I don't pass by it, that's unlikely, but believe me, this happened more often than not. So it would be nice to have a quick reference photo ready with you. So you can upload it here and you can bring it from there. I have a travel images section where I have curated some quick photos that give me an idea of what these locations should look like. So let me just find out what Plaza Mayor looks like and just plug that in here. Right, I can even reposition that photo to suit what it would look like. Save that. And so when I open this task, it gives me an idea what Plaza Mayor would look like. And we will build a visual way to see this entire process. Let's see. Now, as far as start and due dates are concerned, let's build that in as well. First things first, let's go by the fields one at a time. So due date for this, I'm going to say this is a 1st of July journey. Priority fields are unmissable locations that you want to make sure that if you are pressed for time and you have to choose one from another, I will choose a priority location. Let's take. Now, this field allows ClickUp to pull data from the cloud to make sure that if you know the location, you can copy paste the map location here. Otherwise, ClickUp will go through Google Maps directory and pull in this data. I will show you how this plugs in. Let's first fill in the other data. This is a day one travel item, something that I would like to get done by morning. And this is going to be in Madrid. Travel notes, if I have any thoughts on what is, how do I reach here from my place of departure, which is from the airport to here. This is the place I can drop in some notes for that. Similarly, Hostal Barrera, this is the place we plan to stay in. Again, a day one item, checking into this hotel. It's going to be done by afternoon, again in Madrid. And Retiro Park, which is going to be the last item I'm going to do for this day. We don't want to stuff up this day with too much work. Most of our travel we will save it for day 2. Now, this is just an idea of how you can get started. By the magic of editing, let me show you what this would look like by the end. All right. So a filled out list for a 7-day journey would look like this. So we have imported all the destinations that we want to go to, and we have filled out the location, the date on which this journey would be made. We have mapped it to travel day, which is our custom field, which is a more visual way to look at it. And we'll see how to utilize this information as well. The time of day, city of travel, and we've even added helpful notes of how to get there, what are some of the important things to remember when we are there, so on and so forth. And while we are here, here's how we can change this view in ways that would become more useful on the go, more useful from a visual perspective. This is being viewed as a list, and as we've done before, we have plugged in some useful photos as a cover image. We take this entire view and ask ClickUp to look at it through a different lens. So I say duplicate this view as a board. And in one go, ClickUp takes this, and which is grouped by travel days, this itinerary list, which we had built. I've chosen to group it by, of all fields, the travel day field, and put it in ascending order. So that tells us what happens in day 1, 2, 3, and so forth, and move that as a board view. So now we have an itinerary board. That gives us a very visual way to see the same journey. So when I look at it in this fashion, it gives me a quick way to see what each day looks like. And I can choose what data out of this needs to be visible to me. And I can remove other information that are not required right now. So of all the fields shown in this view, priority, okay, let's map location is relevant. And we have, let's see now. I can toggle on the data that would be relevant for that particular day. The day is not necessary because I can see it in the top. And I can even remove which part of the city it's going to be, whether it's part of Madrid or Barcelona, or I can always bring it back if I want to. And this gives me a tight card data that allows us to design the look and feel of our mini app that we're building in here. Right. Card size can be adjusted depending on more or less visual information that you want. And you can even remove task properties. You can choose to show empty fields or not. If there are any days that are lying empty, for instance, I have an empty field over here, which I can collapse to make it visually more appealing. And so depending on any given day, we can just look at what are the main activities for that day along with the notes. Just clicking into that will give you more easy information to read. Clicking on the card opens up the standard task card that you can see either as a list or as a board. Filling in the map field or the location field over here allows us yet another way to look at the same travel data in a way that could be useful in certain scenarios. And those of you who guessed the map field, that's how we can look at it here. Tasks visualized. So the map field, let's just call it the map. And we add a map location as the field, which we have filled out in the itinerary list. This map view picks up that data and gives you a visual way in which you can see in Barcelona, these are the map locations that we have put in. And if I zoom further out and reach, let's see now, Madrid. So we have locations for Madrid, we have location for Barcelona. And if I just zoom in a little bit, you can see these are the locations that I planned there. If I click on it, I can see each one represents one location from our itinerary list. So you can zoom further in, and that allows you to see these locations embedded over a Google map and see what else is near you. And that allows you to plan places you want to see if you have extra time, places you want to stop by to catch a bite to eat, whatever you look at. So this collection gives us now 3 ways to look at our itinerary and 1 way to put together the to-dos that help make this itinerary possible. This in total covers our itinerary planner. Now let's move into the next part of it, which is the packing list. The packing list allows us to design and take some control over what are the things that we need to take with ourselves. And it allows us to break it down upon each person who's traveling. So every one of us will have a specific set of things that are our travel essentials, which may differ from other members of the family. So here's how we can go about that. So when we design the packing list, let's think about what are some of the fields that we would be needing to make sense of the data. This, in my opinion, is a relatively simple way to go about. There are only 2 things that I would bring in. One is what are the types of items these are. And by types, I mean things like whether it is an article of clothing, whether it is beachwear, toiletries, EDC items, optional items that you can, if space allows, carry with you. And we'll also create a separate field for who this item is for. Is it for me? Is it for my spouse? Or is it for my child? Customize it for your own journey accordingly. So let me start by creating 2 drop-down fields. 1, which is the type of item, and 2, who we are packing for. All right. So here's 2 fields. We can reorder the fields how we want. There's no due date relevant for this one. Assignee field you may or may not choose because we anyway have a packing for as an item. The reason why I'm not putting an assignee as an important field over here, because it's possible that I might be packing for another person, not them directly. So decide on the basis of your personal use case whether you need to keep the assignee field or not. If you do not choose for this one, you can hide it. Let's now import all the items that we would need to pack and put in some context to them. So by items, I mean things like clothing. As mentioned earlier, copy pasting multiple tasks saves you time, and bulk assigning task types also is something that I would highly recommend. If, as I think everything that I've copied here are clothing items, so I can bulk select these tasks, and I can just go in here, choose what custom field, which is item type of clothing. And also we're going to set packing for. So once again, custom field, packing it for self. Right, give me a minute to assemble this entire packing list. So here is the completed packing list. And I have also gone ahead and changed these into objects because they are not tasks. And I've also grouped them by the item type. So this allows me to collapse them and check them on the basis of what item type they are. And we can also create additional views of this list on the basis of each person. So here I just applied a filter that it is packing it for self, and similarly packing for my spouse, and one for the child's list. So it is possible for me to share each individual list with each person so that they can look at their own list if they want to. Even if they may not be part of ClickUp, it is possible to create a public link to share the same. So you can go into sharing and permissions, and from here you can create a share link with everyone, which would generate a publicly shareable link. So irrespective of this particular workflow which we're building for a Wanderlust portal, think of it from various other scenarios and projects where you would want an outside collaborator to have access to just a portion of it, which means that this view would not allow them to access the entire list, but just this view from this list. So in this case, my spouse, who does not have a ClickUp account, sadly, we will share a copy of this with her so that she can still have access to her list. And similarly, we can create separate views for each of these. So that concludes how we can capture the packing, the packing list. So we now have an itinerary planner and a packing list. What we now need to do is capture the document storage. Similarly, document itself is not a task. The purpose of the document storage is to make sure that we have at our fingertips all the necessary documents that we might need to show at an airport, at a hotel, at the entrance of a museum, various other travel scenarios that you can insert here. So I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to pull in some of the common documents that would be used, and we're going to add a few fields that make sense for this. Give me a minute to put that together. So here we have it, a completed document storage system. It might look pretty simple to start with, but here's how we go about it. I have changed it into a task type called a Travelogue, or Travelogues for plural. And each element that you see is a document that is connected to a certain event. So we have Bangalore to Madrid to Bangalore, which is my port of choice. From the airport to hotel that we would be staying at. Any documents that we would be requiring for the hotel itself, such as hotel reservations. And for each of these events, I have also created a drop-down of what that document represents. It could be a flight ticket, a hotel reservation, cab booking, train tickets, entry tickets, performance, whatever. I'm going to be sharing this template with you with these fields inbuilt. Feel free to use the same, or if you have a better way of putting it or customizing it, you can go into add or edit options, and from here you can choose to change what they are. For the time being, I retain it as is. And I've also introduced a field of travel cost, which is a numbers field or a value field, which allows me to input what is the cost of it. And once done, ClickUp also allows me to calculate various mathematical functions on it. I can have the sum, the average, or the range of it. For this particular list, it makes sense to have a sum of what this overall journey is going to cost. Have not accounted for shopping costs over here, so bear that in mind. So once we have this set of documents put together, we can also sort it in by documents, which is one way to look at it. Now, what is the benefit of keeping it in this particular list? Let's take a look at it for a minute. One of the benefits of creating something like a documents field is that you can link it to the itinerary. And when I say link it, by ClickUp terms, I mean literally link it. So we can create a relationship between these two fields, which is, so I call this link to document. And we can also tell ClickUp that we want to link it to a specific list. So we do not want ClickUp to link it to the entire universe of tasks that I have here, but I can choose the specific list from which I want to draw this. So I want to, let's say, connect it to document storage, which is the one right here. And from here, you can also choose what are the fields that you would like this link to pull in, so that you do not have to move out of the itinerary planner in order to see the list, the document storage list itself, allowing you to pick up quick data from without leaving the context of the list that you're in currently. To do that, I will choose to create roll-ups from this list, and I can choose the fields that I want to input. Clicking on this would open the fields that I can access from this particular list. So in my case, the most important fields that I would want are the attachment as well as the document type. So I choose that, and I also choose the attachment. And now we create the field. So this inserts a link to the document relationship field. So let's take Hostal Barrera, for instance. So once I come to Hostal Barrera in the itinerary, I want to make sure that I have access to the booking. So the moment I click here, it dips into the document storage list and allows me to choose Hostal Barrera, which then automatically appears here as a relationship, and you can see the document type. And if I have the attachment, it would give me the access to the attachment as well. The attachment in itself, as you can, let me just jump back to you quickly. I can bring the attachment in as a PDF, as a document stored inside any of my my Google Drive or any of the cloud storage services supported within ClickUp. I would recommend doing both. In fact, keep a backup cloud storage for redundancy purposes and data safety purposes, but also maintain a local copy within ClickUp so that you can access it not just from your desktop, but even from your mobile app as well. We will cover what the mobile app looks like in a little bit. So Creating this connection as well as the overall document storage system allows us to have a completed destination planner. Once designed, you can store this entire folder as a template. Let me show you how to go about that. Once we have this itinerary planner with the list, the board view, the task list, which is the to-do list that we have, and the map view as well, along with the packing list, the document storage, all of it contained in one folder. We have a system that can now be replicated for any journey that we will be taking from here on. So I can go in here and click here to save this as a template. And this template can be called a destination master, which once stored here, I can choose who would have access to it, whether it is to be shared with only all members of my workspace, which means nobody outside of this workspace would have access to it, only me, selected people within my workspace. So if I have 10 people, I can choose 3 people that would have access to it. And these are people who would be able to invoke this template and replicate it for their travel purposes as well. ClickUp also allows you to create a public sharing link, which allows me to share this link with you, which is what we're going to be doing, so that you have access to this template as well. I already have a copy of this template, so I'm not going to save it yet again and save myself the confusion. So there you have it. This is the destination planner. And before we cut out of this one, let me also show you the second part of it, which is the Travelogue. The Travelogue is going to be based on the same principles. And rather than build one out using the same set of tasks, I'm just going to show you what my Travelogue looks like. And I will share this as part of this template. I will tuck it into this folder, which you can take it out and maintain as a separate list. Because every time you invoke this template, and I'll show you how to do that. Every time you journey, you would come to the container where you want to bring in the travel folder and say you want to create a folder from a template, and you would choose the template of travel that you want, and ClickUp will load this destination folder with the tasks pre-built in. You can remove the tasks from the previous journey and fill in the new destination. Certain tasks such as the packing list and document storage tend to be common. You can retain the same and use that for making the connection with your itinerary as well. And once you have multiple journeys under your belt, as you no doubt do if you're watching this video so long, the Travelogue comes into picture. Let me set it up and show you what that looks like. Here you go, folks. So we have a list of locations, the year of travel, which in this particular case is just a piece of text. You can choose to have this as a drop-down field if you want. By now you would understand the flexibility that allows you. You can group it by the drop-down field if you make it so. I did not feel the need to it in this case. Start date and end date of each of those journeys. The map location of those journeys. I have put in a drop-down field of all the countries that were part of these journeys. And a link to the photo album that was the result of it. It's a curation of memories, and you can also have the open-ended description field here to write something about that, a little journal, a little set of your thoughts from that journey. I have also saved in photos for the cover, which leads us to the point that we're going to use that to construct the board view. And the board view in this particular case allows us to create a very personal piece of memory, a little Horcrux of mine that would live on, that allows us to remember this in the way that it unfurled for us. And having entered the map location also allows us to create a global view of this overall journey that we have taken so far. And so now if I were to zoom out from here, it gives me a look of where all I have been, where are the maps, the gaps in my maps, and plans for future journeys as well. So this allows us to visualize it in multiple ways. One interesting way, just to leave a thought, is to put it up as a Gantt view. The Gantt view allows me to see it in the form of travel over time. And here automatically it pulls in the start date and end date of my journeys and links it with each of the travel destinations to see over the years how my journeys have been. Just some food for thought for those of you who love to travel and love to capture the details on the same. So you followed along, but would like an easy way to get your hands on this template? Let me help you out with this one. I'm going to link a free copy of this template that we've built out together in a link below. Access that and you will be able to customize it to the journey that you're planning for yourself. And if you are planning to go to Spain, this journey, as I mentioned to you earlier, is based on a real one that I took 12 years ago. Some things might have changed in the last 12 years, so buyer beware. I mentioned before, this Wanderlust portal is a perfect fit with the MyLifeOS system. The MyLifeOS system is my template designed to be a universal, fits everything kind of a solution for your daily projects, tasks, to-dos, work and life related items, and the digital resources that clutter up your life. And if you want to learn more about what the MyLifeOS system is and how it helps you bring a similar approach to all your life's tasks and resources, then watch this video. If travel is not on your mind, but email is, then watch this video to learn how to tame your webmail inbox. Thanks for hanging out with me on this build. If you enjoy the hands-on approach of solving problems using a workflow design approach, smash that like button and subscribe for more tools, tips, and workshops. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you won't miss any of our future uploads. Share this video with your friends who love to level up their productivity game. And remember, a more efficient day is just a click away. See you in the next video where we unlock another secret to supercharging your workflow. Keep being awesome and productive.